So, Jason, what time is it in Australia where you are?
It is 1:30 in AM.
That's not very late.
No.
You're
It depends on when you got up.
You're demonstrating your devotion to duty by being present on parade for the VUC.
You've got it in one. I thought I made an attempt/appearance last time, and I got to play with all the cool new toys, so I'd do it again.
Understandable. And is that you lurking in the darkness there?
It is me. I'll even turn on my lurking in the darkness lower third. and then I can put a clock on.
Oh, very good.
You just have to trust them.
1, 2, 3, 4. Well, we theoretically only need 6 more people, right? There's 6. No, 5 more people to break the 10 barrier.
We had an interesting discussion this afternoon about lower thirds being automatically inserted for WebRTC calls. Kind of like a...
That is interesting.
And getting the branding right for that. It's kind of like a WebRTC caller line ID, or ANI if you're American, I guess. Well, all kinds of interesting things we can add to it. Like, for example, we know where the endpoint is. Therefore, we can say, this is James Bodie from Timbuktu calling. And then we can insert the little time automatically as well. So you know what time it is. So, reasonably useful or useless.
So you... Chat works, John.
It does.
Yeah. So you're thinking about extending the existing functionality of something like the lower third app in here?
No. We probably have to build something reasonably from scratch, because I don't know of anything, or unless anybody knows of any form of open source that does kind of lower third kind of... There probably is something actually that does all this kind of stuff.
That's an image, isn't it, James, that you're using?
It is an image, yes. Yeah. Looks good, doesn't it? And in fact, if I move it even, matches the corporate font.
Yeah, that's very cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
very nice.
That took at least 30 seconds worth of effort to sort that one out.
The master of the true type.
It looks good and it's readable on the recordings.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, if anything, I think it looks better than the stock Google lower 30 type thing.
It does. Oh, definitely looks better. Yeah.
Oh no, John. It was a disapproving.
I think I found a bug.
In what, this?
Yes, I tried to load the Hangout toolbox and it totally crapped out for me.
Well, what are you running it on?
I am running it on on the latest version of OS X.
Oh, that should work.
Firefox.
That should work fine.
Yeah, but now I'm getting the disconcerting thing of audio through my headset and through the speakers on my desktop.
Oh, wow.
Why, you still no, you're not connected.
And the audio is quite delayed. In fact, I'm hearing Mr. Bodie over there still.
Really? Oh no. Poor you. Which browser are you running with, Ken?
Using Firefox, the latest production. Never mind. I just found the audio. I had the YouTube feed open also. That would cause an issue.
Would do it.
Provides a nice delay loop. Well, one time around the loop.
I need a haircut. Probably this one here. Well, look, it's getting a bit long. Look at that. In fact, I'll tell you what I could do with, and that's a bit of Ken's beard. If I could just recycle that and just.
You know why I have this here, right, Mr. Bodie? And you notice Ken always has a hat on, right? I'm not far behind you, mate.
Well, I've got a theory, and that theory is that the number of hairs on your body remains constant as you get older. It's just the distribution changes.
I could concur with that theory. It just kind of migrates elsewhere.
Yep. Indeed.
Elsewhere is too much information.
Yeah, really. What happened to Michael? What do I have to do? How do I send this out? So there's if you go to vuc.me now, there's a share button for Google Plus on each, well, on the article, right? That's on the top. 15 people crammed in a telephone booth.
Mm-hmm.
So if you click on that, I'm not saying you should. I mean, you click on it, nothing will happen. A window will come up. But if you want to try it, you click on it. It's a call to action button that people have been putting on. And this button, let me see. It should say watch, I believe.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it's a watch button, and it gives the excerpt from the article and so on. And the reason, in fact, I should probably demo that on the. I'll do a screen share. So that would be this one. Okay. So hey, it's Simwood. So here's the button. Right?
Press the button. Press the button.
And if I press it, here's what happens. I'm going to share the video, so you can change that to. And then you can change who it's going to and so on. And it's got a watch button. So we'll just go ahead and do that. And see if anything happens. We'll see if the watchers, let me get, there's 2 viewers right now. I'm a little disappointed. We need to get a lot more people in here, because I don't want to do this all night. Got to get it up to 15. Can you, well, you guys can't, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Oh, Ken got kicked again out of Firefox.
Yeah,
You should probably try using Chrome.
Chrome. Yeah.
Chrome. Anyway, 2 viewers, so if anybody views this now, we'll know.
There's no place like Chrome.
No place like Chrome is right. However, maybe I better email the invite to a few people.
Did you see that Google Plus message I sent you earlier, James?
It came out on an XMPP client, but yes.
I think it might be worth having a look at that.
Yeah. Yeah, look.
Ooh!
Well, that'd be me then. That's working, isn't it?
Seems to be.
Oh, scary. Oh, look at that. Oh, it's John.
So if we watch it for long enough, we're going to get another one.
What? Screen in screen.
Screen in screen in screen. Yeah, there we go.
Way. But there's quite a time delay on there, isn't there? Yeah, anyway. How much bandwidth can I consume?
Okay. Still only 5 people? What do we have to do here?
Oh, here comes Dan. Dan is actually here, but he has to rush off. So
There's Dan.
here's Dan.
Here's Dan. Here's Dan. Hey, Dan.
Dan the Donut Man.
Dan the Donut Man is a good one, yeah.
They're calling you Donut Man now. Yeah. Oh well, Una had a good. Well, you could get a couple actually. Oh, all right.
What, you actually have something you have to do?
Yeah, Dan has to go and eat lots of things.
Oh, not Dan, you. You look like you almost had to get called to action there.
Well, no, we're just contemplating getting another donut. That's all.
Oh, well, that doesn't require any.
Because we were working so hard, you can tell from my fevered brow. That
It's all being mopped up by that excess hair, I think.
It really does need to be cut. It's getting far too long. Look at that; it's ridiculous. I feel like a unicorn, you know.
I guess I'm forced to go get my Android tablet, I guess.
I was just about to try it on the iPad, but it wasn't working. It says Hangout is over.
No, you can't. Well, the iPad,
Is that the on-air?
iOS doesn't work for on-air.
Okay.
What was the link at vuc.me/something? Was
Z.
Z.
Yeah.
Capital Z.
It doesn't matter. It should be case.
It doesn't matter. It waves. Ha ha ha.
It's the thing is, the capital Z's more obvious. It's bigger. It should be NC though, so non. What is that? No case. I'll be right back.
So, guess where Dan went today? Did you see the photo, Andy?
No, I didn't.
A photograph of him standing next to a F1 racing car.
Oh, very nice too.
Ooh.
ZipDX is calling me.
Oh, it's all right.
ZipDX is calling me.
Is that on Twitter, James?
It's on Facebook.
Oh, right, no. Facebook? Don't look at Facebook.
Well, we can probably...
Scheduled to start now. Hosted by you. Press star for other options. Now joining in wideband 2 other participants.
And who are those lucky participants?
If you had your console window open, you'd be able to see, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I'm counting on you to tell me because I'm...
Well, no, I'm too busy kind of making another person logged in.
You folks on ZipDX, if you would please help us out by joining the Hangout if you can.
Gosh.
And that would be by going to vuc.me/the letter Z or Z, depending on what country you're in.
I just started Google Plus on my Galaxy S2, and it said, unfortunately, Google Plus has stopped. Hasn't even started yet.
Okay, we're going to go off of airplane mode.
I got something cute for you guys today. Maybe.
You coming into the video?
Yeah. I was setting up. Uh-oh, we're having trouble connecting to your plugin.
I like the look of the button. This is on the Nexus. I'm trying to get it to focus. Well, it does not like bright. Testing 1, 2. Hello, David. I can't get it to focus on it, but you can get the idea. So there's a nice... That's cool. And now I'm looking for... Oh, I have to invite myself.
I want the Google plugin to be removed and reinstalled.
Hey, David.
What? I wonder why.
How pleasant to see you, David.
Hello. Let's see. Oh, yeah.
Where's that audio feedback coming from?
Mr. Frankel.
Good evening, good morning.
Oh, look, it's another one of me.
Maybe it's because it's not actually there.
Oh, I've got a message from ZipDX asking me to, telling me to start the VUC.
They're nice.
I'm not getting my invite. 1, 2, FedEx. What's he got, John? What do you have from FedEx?
What's in the
It's from
box?
Polycom. It's probably another one of these silly Polycom cameras for VVX 500. They put it in a huge box.
Oh, that's the camera? Comes in a box that big?
No, the first one came in a small box. This just seems like it's a piece of paper. It's so light. I can't get in the box. It's a chastity
The
belt for electronics.
unboxing. Yeah.
It is. It's a piece of paper.
No. Yeah.
No, there's something.
No.
Yep. Got another one.
Got to be at least bubble wrap in there.
Oh, there's a box in a box, and the little box is...
Yeah, it's this tiny little box, which is
yeah, I'm having that remailed.
DVX
so,
camera.
Yeah. So it's like, the thing weighs like 4 ounces, and they put it
Yeah,
into that.
exactly. And they ship it in a box this size.
Yeah,
Close,
well,
please
it was...
find your Polycom VVX that you won. So, no, it's just the camera.
Oh, you won one too?
I should find them. I think I've got 4 of them sitting around. There's 1, 2,
Yeah, I won
3,
one
and
as
this
well.
one makes 4. So.
But what's funny is mine was delivered by FedEx to a UPS store.
So how do I get myself a little super that gives my
You
name
click.
and-
It's the.
Hangout toolbox.
Okay.
There's a little, yeah.
On the left-hand side of the
I will tell you
Hangout.
that Chrome is not loading the Google Talk.
There's a
plugin.
little thing like a wand with a yellow background and some stars.
It seems unhappy.
Over there.
No, it's over there.
Oh, so okay, it's over. It's up there. Maybe it's down here.
Yeah, David, we're still getting a bit of
Something
audio
about reporting and
feeding
issues.
back.
It could be me. Let me see what I'm doing.
No,
If I
I'm
can get this
watching
mirror
the
to work here.
kind of little green VU metery thing. It was David.
Oh, okay. It was coming from him.
I'm terrible with the mirror on a screen. Yeah, there it is, right there.
Oh, very good.
Just a mirror that used to use that with the Droid because I had the rear-facing camera and I wanted it to face front, so I put the mirror behind the Droid, set the Droid in front of that, and then I was backwards, but at least I could participate.
I'm bringing up the dashboard.
Fatal error during installation.
What the Windows box, Michael?
Yeah. Perfectly happy. Oh, no, it says it did it. Then start chatting. Okay.
Mr. I was going to say, Mr. Carl Fife, I see your name. You got to join the Hangout. We need 15 people, and we're not there yet. 1, 2, 3.
I can do that. I probably should shave.
6, 7, 8. No, we don't mind. We don't mind. It's okay.
Do you guys want to hear something really interesting?
Sure.
So I had data flowing between 2 locations using, pfSense on a little embedded system, and I was getting about 5 megabits of throughput. Encrypting it, and through a VPN tunnel, basically, and it didn't make a. I was a little bit surprised that it was so low, because, basically I have effectively 50 megabits of capacity between those 2 locations, and the CPU utilization on the little embedded routers was only about 50 or 60%, right? You with me so far?
Yeah.
So where's the hang up then? Where's the bottleneck?
Okay, so
Right.
so that's a great question. That's exactly the point. Now, so I was thinking TCP congestion control window issue, right? That's like, you know, it's not getting its acknowledgments quickly enough, but I attributed it to my favorite topic, latency, and that is in fact what happens. How
Oh, what happened there?
Hello.
60%.
Maybe Randy is muting him or unmuting him. Or...
Oh, what happened? Oh, you know what? I was typing.
And it mutes you. Yes.
Sorry.
Because it's not like Wi-Fi or anything like that. It actually might be related to as the links were never, yeah. So there wasn't a point where with the exception of the CPU speed. And so here's the thing. So the limitation, the limiting factor is how quickly are we getting the acknowledgments back from the receive side, not the send side, the receive side. And so I took that embedded router and I used a different embedded router. Instead of a 500 megahertz geode, I put in a 1.8 dual core Atom, right? Still an embedded system. And so very same firmware, everything the same, very same config. The only thing that's different is this CPU. But I put it on the receive side, and immediately my throughput went from 5 megabits to just under 10, like 9.9 and change. And I thought, wow, that's impressive. And then I also noticed at the same time that the send side utilization went from 50 to 60% up to 100.0%.
I am busy now, thank you very much.
Exactly. So then I'm scratching my head and thinking, wow, the acknowledgement latency was high enough to where it was really causing the bottleneck, making it look like basically the send side was reaching a bottleneck, just so happened to be at 50 to 60%, but had nothing to do with that being. Anyway, so then I replaced the send side system so that it's no longer CPU bound, and the throughput went up to 30 megabits, which, by the way, is apparently that's what Comcast will clamp me at if I have extended periods of throughput. So even though I can burst up to 50 or something like that, it appears that they clamp me at 30, which is evidenced by the fact that while I'm in the midst of this stream, this 30 megabit TCP stream, I can go to any number of speed test sites and they'll blast me a nice fat UDP stream, and normally I'll see an additional spike in speed. And in fact, when I do that here, in this case, I don't, which leads me to believe that that this is in fact I'm being clamped by the provider. So interesting. Oh, and also at the office where we have 100 megabits symmetric link, when I go to speedtest.net and do a test, I only get. But if I simultaneously do 2 tests with 2 different speed testing providers, I can get it up to 100 megabits collective. So in other words, our link there is good enough that they can't even test us. So I have to test with 2 separate providers at the same time, and then add them together. So anyway, but you might be right about the buffer bloat. I haven't, since nothing was being, well, see, nothing that was changed out was being pegged. So it seems unlikely, but honestly, that's got to be what it is. It's a more likely candidate, because no amount of CPU scale delays the kind of latency that would need to introduce to reduce that stream from 5 to whatever, so or to from 30 to 9 to 5, so it does actually make buffer bloat is actually a better candidate. So I need to ask Chris, Jim, or Scott of pfSense fame what they think was the cause. But that was just so dramatic. I just never ever would have thought that was the case. I mean, especially because, see, that's the other thing. Is like, there's nothing pegged at 10 megabits. So maybe it's not buffer bloat. There's no buffer bloat expresses itself when some link gets exhausted, and there's nothing getting exhausted. I was only, clipping along at 10 megabits as far as that system is 5 megabits as far as that system is concerned.
Some of us are getting exhausted, I think.
5 megabits over. At the topic.
Yeah. Have you muted
Who?
the link?
So,
ZipDX
anyway,
link?
I think that's exceptionally interesting.
Sorry.
Fascinating stuff.
Yeah. Oh, and bringing it all the way back to
Whoops.
increased the quality of my VoIP, even at very, very high utilization, which maybe fits what David Frankel used to always suggest. He used to always say that I was very jittery, and he's right, but
No.
he's also doesn't mean when I'm drinking a lot of coffee. My streams are very jittery, and in all cases, I've been running through.
Streams are jittery. Whoa, too much information. You need to call it. You need to get on the Hangout, Carl, because we're up to 12 people. We need 3 more.
Okay.
In the phone booth.
You said TMI, too much information.
Yeah.
What I would retort is TMI, too much imagination.
Okay. Cross the streams. Yeah, so ZipDX, we haven't even started yet. Really, we'll probably actually talk about VoIP or something close to it. But right now, I want to get up to 15 people in this thing, then we'll kill it and do something else.
That's just so weird. Apparently, yeah, I've even rebooted the system, and Chrome just does not want to do what it normally does.
What happens when did you try another browser?
Peter.
I did not. Does it work in another browser?
Sure, Firefox.
I don't have Firefox installed on this one. Does it work in IE?
It should. I mean, I don't know why anyone would use IE, but if you have it, why not?
Is that 2 Peters?
Occasionally.
Are there 2? Yeah. There are 2 Peters. So.
Yeah, I had a problem and got disconnected, and it looks like I'm stuck.
8, 9, 10, 11, 12, but actually only 11. Am I moving? Yeah, I'm moving.
Yes, you are.
Oh, and I'm in there twice, too. Yeah, I could actually take you out to the street.
Have you guys seen those new BeagleBone
Black? That's what I was trying to do.
Yeah.
I had a camera set up. Well, I actually have 5 cameras at present hooked up to the system, and that may be what's freaking Google Plus out.
It could be.
It looks like the Google Talk plugin is not a happy camper.
Things have slowed down a bit because there's so many things going on.
Well, should it though? Because the Google's doing the processing, right?
Well, I don't think Google's doing much processing, and it certainly has brought my Firefox to a crawl.
Its travel, and then it decides to croak. I do believe it's probably because it says far too many cameras attached.
It could be. It could be.
I don't know what to do with all those cameras.
That could be.
Yeah. Somebody just threw up a picture of the new BeagleBone.
That's me. Yep. That's just a random image off Google.
Have you ordered one of those yet?
I have not yet, but my son and I are playing with a Raspberry Pi and an Arduino Uno Ethernet, so One of these days, we'll probably get one of these things.
Have either of you used or seen in person any of those 1440 by 2540 resolution monitors?
40 by 2540.
I think that's 14. Maybe it's 1440 by 2580. I can't remember the exact resolution.
Yeah, yeah, 2580. They're double. They're double width essentially. Yeah, a couple times. Those in different circumstances.
Oh, yeah, and that's the 16:9, not the 1600 by 2580 or whatever it is.
Right.
1610. Yeah, yeah. So we have a couple of the Dell 16:10 ratio, and they're great. They're just phenomenal monitors. But I noticed that the pixel density goes up quite a bit when you do the same width and less height on a 27-inch monitor. And I don't know if that's is uncomfortable to read.
Yeah. I am.
That's not a donut.
4,000 line resolution monitor.
Yes.
This is going to be fabulous, and nobody really gets it yet because we just haven't the experience of it.
Yeah.
But it's going to.
Randy's typing again.
I'm sorry.
I wonder though if we're going to run into a constraint or basically an issue, or it's like the one priority kind of trumps the other priority, so you end up with the 1080 monitor squeezing out all the 1200 monitors, and so now you can't get them even. So with the exception of this colossal Dell 2550 by 1600 monitor, there really isn't anything between that and the 1080 monitor, even though there used to be, and it used to be very, very useful. So I worry about this 4000 thing coming in with the theater priorities and essentially breaking its utility for the human interface display role that it can play. For example, look at the Retina display in Apple's devices. You have incredible pixel density, and at the same time, all of your system fonts are scaled way the hell up so that the user doesn't perceive very much change in size, but there's no aliasing around the corners because of this high density. So what I want personally is I want more, and I think what you want, Michael, is I think you want more space. I think you want a bigger desktop. You want to have more icons and more documents, and so do I, and that's why I have 4 of those Dell monitors on the desk at the office.
What I specifically don't want is a bigger desktop. Because
what you don't want.
No, what I don't want is a bigger desktop, and the reason is a bigger desktop is readily achieved with multiple monitors. That's really simple.
Okay, what about all those bezel lines?
Bear with me. Bear with.
Bear with.
Yes, that's inconvenient, but it's not the end of the world.
Right.
What it does stop though cold in its tracks is the kind of functionalities that you see in network operation centers and facilities that do large-scale monitoring of things, where they sub-industry, these things called multi-viewers that are they have systems up to them, and what they do is they present the displays of all these different things that are hooked up, but they present them as windows on a display.
Okay.
And typically, because the display technology is driven by the retail side of the world, you have these 1920 by 1080 displays, and oftentimes when you walk into a big NOC or a broadcast facility, whatever, you see all these things, and they're kind of nice and everything, but what you're seeing is down-res versions of the system's displays in little windows, and that's
all interpolated down.
Yeah. And what I want 1-to-1 pixel resolution presentation of all of these different things across a much bigger canvas. And where this is going to rock my world is when it comes to things like video conferencing, because you don't need an MCU that downregulates if you can just say, okay, here's the 720 stream. I display it pixel for pixel in this position on this much larger canvas, and you can do that with 2D scalers that are dirt cheap.
Yeah.
You can scale in position. You don't have to do any mathematics on it.
Yeah.
So it fundamentally changes a lot of things about that. It'd be quite good.
Yeah.
Also, then when it goes, you've got 3 or 4 people talking in a conference like this Google Hangout kind of thing, and then you want to show somebody's desktop so you can converse about the spreadsheet that you're going over. The spreadsheet will not be interpolated down to, it won't be an either or, the people or the spreadsheet. The spreadsheet will be shown at its full glorious pixel for pixel resolution right along with the people.
But Michael, won't you need like magnification glasses, like on each eye, so that you have, you know what I mean? Because it's always this between pixel size and and sort of your system fonts. I mean, I remember lower resolution screen than my PC, but still, I'm sorry, higher resolution than my PC, but somehow you could actually still read the fonts. It was like they had thought about it in typical Apple fashion, like thinking about what type of resolution is available, and therefore how big do we need to make, with what kind of resolution do we need to draw our fonts, so that you end up with but high res and useful, right? So 4000K would, or so 4K, 4000K, bring it on. 4K would be fonts that make it so that all you have is like Retina on the desktop. And what I want is, I think what you want, which is just a gargantuan canvas to do, to show those Excel spreadsheets in one-to-one without scaling them up or down so that they become useless or cartoonish.
Well, and 2D scaling is 2D scaling is dirt cheap, especially when it can be done on something like a spreadsheet that doesn't have to invoke motion compensation and all kinds of complexity to make it attractive. So I'm hopeful. Let's put it this way: I am hopeful, but there is a possibility, as there always is, the manufacturers will go, "Woohoo! High-resolution Netflix. That's where the money is."
Yeah, right.
And they won't build the intelligence into this thing to actually make it do something that you and I actually would like it to do. Here's another potential. I bought or participated in the Kickstarter for a thing called Doorbot.
Called what?
Doorbot.
Doorbot. Okay.
Doorbot. Google it. Doorbot.
Like front door robot.
Yeah. Doorbot is this little thing. I'm so reminded of HAL from 2001.
Okay. Nice.
It's a little thing that you install by your front door. It's Wi-Fi enabled. It's got a little camera in it, little speakerphone functionality in it. Somebody at your front door, they push the button on Doorbot, and it establishes a call over Wi-Fi to your smartphone app, and it instantiates a video call.
Okay.
And then the smartphone app has...
Sounds vaguely familiar. Is there some kind of a voice conference that used to be talking about this 2 years ago? Remember?
Yeah. Or something like that for it, and they were wildly successful in their Kickstarter thing, and that all is really great, right? So here's the thing, and I've actually had some email back and forth with the CEO of Edison Jr., who's the company behind the Kickstarter, that they're supposed to be about 6 weeks away from delivering the first batch. Should be great. has a interlock with an electric strike release, so that you can actually release the door if you want to. Although I'm not so into that, but that's okay. It's fully bidirectional. I just don't see an iOS app or a smartphone app, an Android app, as being the ideal far end for that.
Yeah.
And I know that the company won't do it. Somebody else is going to have to do it. The Smart says, I'm at home. The cell phone is not in my pocket. In fact, it is not near me.
Yeah.
If a headset can know that, a cell phone should know it too.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not near me. Consequentially, it should refuse that call. It should not take that call.
Yeah, right. Sorry.
Get under that.
Like,
under there.
You sanding your car or what?
Yes.
What's going on then?
Here we go. What it needs to do is it then needs to say, oh, that call, in fact, it's probably going to go in parallel to a couple of different things. I want to hand it off to the smart TV in the TV room, and the
because
smart
some
TV,
user has basically said, "I'll take it."
Well, because the smart TV is on, which there.
Maybe.
And the phones.
Is it just me, or is everybody losing audio occasionally?
Yeah, Michael keeps dropping out.
So what it's
It's every time that Randy types.
NCIS.
It auto mutes him.
Because my wife is into that. And the TV says, oh, hang on, I'll switch my display mode. I'm going to put NCIS Boise into a window, and I'm going to introduce a second window, which has the Doorbot call.
Carl, can you hear us? Carl, Michael, can you hear us right over here on the hangout?
Caching the show, even though it's coming over the air in real time.
Nope. Sounds not.
I think that's
probably doing that in
conversation going on.
TiVo tends to be an instant.
Do they know that we're here?
Right?
Probably not.
I think we've bifurcated.
So here I am.
What happened here?
You've broken something, Randy.
Wait a second.
It seems like we got two pals chatting away on ZipDX, and we're all sitting here.
Well, wait a minute. Yeah, well,
with our
you're not hearing them, or are
no,
you?
We're hearing them.
We're hearing them fine. We're just not able to talk to them, and they don't hear us.
They're not hearing you. Wait a minute.
They don't know we're here, I don't think.
I am on ZipDX, and I am also. I am trying to get into the Hangout using a laptop instead, since my desktop apparently is not going to do it.
Well, wait a minute.
I would imagine that it's not patching into the ZipDX from the Hangout.
I think it is now. Say something, somebody. Tim, hello, Tim.
1, 2, 3.
Hello, how is everybody? Admire my new cufflinks.
Very good. So much better for seeing you, Tim.
There you go. See, new telephone cufflinks. I don't know what the focus is like on this, but there you go.
Hello, Alok.
I love the 15 in a phone booth title.
Hang on.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Oh, God, we need one more person. Come on. I got to take a picture, and then we're out of here.
You mean we're just extras in this? We're not actually necessary. We're just props.
So is this a beta, or did they actually boosting it out to 15 now?
It's 15 for apps. That's why we're on my wacky account.
Wacky?
I heard
I want a wacky account.
Had 25.
All right, there we go.
What was that, Jerry?
We've got 15 now.
When they first did Hangouts, it was 25, and then they slapped them way back.
Okay.
Well, wait a minute, that should be 15 if Michael won.
I think that's 14.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Still 14?
I'm trying to get Mr. West to join us.
He can do video?
Someone do it with another device.
Yeah, I want to
actually,
know.
we're cheating. We're cheating because at least two of us, maybe more, are in twice anyway.
There's 2 Michaels.
Now, here's an interesting data point, by the way. I turned my mic off, and it still detected the typing. So I guess that's the opposite of what I said. It does actually detect the typing and not the mic.
It's another Tim.
2 Tims, 2 Randys, 2 Jameses. And some feedback.
Mr. Wade.
That's you, Tim. You're feeding.
There it goes. 15.
Now, the question is, why is Chrome so unhappy about that Google Talk plugin?
I'm having the same issue. I'm having
it told me it wanted to uninstall it, and when I go to where I'm supposed to be able to uninstall it, it's not even there.
The latest rev, I think the latest rev of that plugin has got big issues because I've had nothing but nightmares with my Cam Twist. I literally have to reinstall that plugin almost every time I want to do a Hangout.
You have to reboot Chrome or Firefox. You have to restart the browser because
that doesn't fix it, Randy.
Really?
I am
because
currently
I've talked to them already about this, and they were looking into it, but they decided that they couldn't fix it.
It's not finding the devices actually.
Yeah.
It doesn't even find my eyesight. I mean, it sees them. It just doesn't make a connection to them.
Well, I am not even seeing the plugin as installed on my system, and the Google Talk plugin, and it's supposed to be there, but it doesn't even show as installed.
Well, you wouldn't be in the Hangout if you didn't have.
Well, no, I'm actually looking at another my desktop system. I'm in the Hangout using a laptop.
Oh, okay.
And there is, Michael, there is a separate for Windows. There is a separate installer for the Google Talk plugin that you can get to install and uninstall at will. You can even use different versions of it. It's the Microsoft installer files. What are those things called?
Yeah, the MSIs.
MSI, yeah. On Mac, it's a little bit more complicated.
Now, there's a DMG for it, Randy.
Yeah, no, but I mean, it's installing and uninstalling is a little bit of a procedure.
It actually says fatal error during installation. And
yeah, that's uncool. You should give that feedback, by the way. Because how are they going to know?
You know, I don't have a tremendous amount of confidence in Google when it comes to this kind of thing. My few dealings with them, they have been opaque, and if they took the feedback, I don't even know.
Yeah.
Well, I know that I've actually been talking to them back and forth, and one of the guys was looking into it. He got back to me. He told me what he found. We exchanged logs. We didn't exchange logs. I sent him a log. They were looking into it. And like 3 or 4 weeks later, he got back and said, okay, we've looked into it, and we're still not finding anything. And the point is that they did make the effort, and he did say what they saw and so on. And I understood that this wasn't a major issue. For me, though, the fix, Jerry, is to kill the browser. You can only use CamTwist once in my setup. Once you've done that, if you stop a Hangout and come back into another Hangout, it does not recognize CamTwist, and it does a lot of weird things. It turns your picture, whatever your video is, it'll just switch it to the still, and then that's all you'll get.
No, there's nothing I can do about this. I've yanked what the Google Talk plugin, put in a new one, it installs at the same place.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is that this isn't Google's technology. This is brought in.
No.
This is video.
Okay, are we going to start a real conference here so we can have something to record to put out for?
I didn't think they were still using video. I thought video was in their history.
I think they're still using it. I think
I think they're still using it.
The plan is to move to WebRTC, but WebRTC is not there yet. Certainly not for a conference. Certainly not for this kind of 15 user conference. Nobody's written a mixer that'll do this yet. I say 15, but I think we're back down to 14, aren't we?
I keep hearing camera snaps.
12,
is that a
13,
snapshot?
14. Yeah, I'm trying to. I just want to get a snapshot, and what I learned is that you can't snap mobile. You know, I had it focused on my Android. You cannot snap mobile, and that's interesting. Think about it. It's more of a legal thing, probably.
Well, but also I've found
it's probably device access.
I don't think so. No, I'm saying that if you're looking at someone on a mobile, you can't take a snapshot of them full screen. Oh. So it's legal, in my opinion.
Wow, that's interesting.
Like under a skirt. Think about it.
This Hangout on my Android really kills it. It can barely cope. Most of the buttons are kind of very sluggish.
Which Android is that?
So it's the Google Nexus.
Yeah, well, this is the Nexus 7.
Yep.
Yep, Nexus 7 right here.
If I can get, I mean, it's working fine. The video is not superb, but I think that's more to do with the Wi-Fi than the Nexus itself. Which, by the way, I can now kill.
Okay, this whole exercise has proved something out, though. I now understand why the port expander for this little laptop is a good idea, because it's only got 2 USB ports, and I want to plug a headset in and an external camera and a USB Ethernet interface, and I can't do all of that. So
yeah, I'm definitely going to need a powered hub soon. So if anybody's got any great suggestions, USB hub, I'll be interested.
CyberPower, Randy.
Is that a brand? Or
yes,
a joke?
it is.
Oh,
no,
okay.
no, that's actually a brand. I've got one right here. I use this with the Raspberry Pi.
Mm-hmm.
It's a CyberPower. It's a 7-port USB 2, but 3.5 amps of power for powering plenty of things. I can power like 4 Raspberry Pis off of this thing, and before it's at capacity.
That's great. What are we talking for investment here?
It's about $40 US.
That's not bad.
I think I ordered this one off of Amazon, and it's got it's a 7-port device. It's got 3 ports on each side, and then it's got 1 port in the top for so you can plop your USB keys and such into it.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I missed the beginning of that, Ken. What exactly is that?
That's the brand is CyberPower. It's just a 7-port powered USB hub.
Oh, so to plug into your Raspberry Pi.
Right, yeah. Actually, I use it to power multiple Raspberry Pis. To give you an idea of form factor of the hub itself, Raspberry Pi and the hub. So they're right about the same exact footprint.
Oh, cool.
Hey, James, Brian's giving you shit in the IRC.
Is he? Why you no drop in on Free Switch? Hey, Mr. West, why you no drop in on VUC Hangout Make 15? Come on.
We love Free Switch a long time. It's okay.
We did hit 15 for a second, didn't we?
Yeah, I sent Brian the link.
Oops.
It's probably because he's only just got.
Or maybe there was already 15 people in here.
Well, yeah, for about 10 seconds.
Yeah, everyone dropped out their mobile clients.
The link, if anybody's interested, is vuc.me/ the letter Z or Z, depending on what continent you're on.
Oh, it's going to be a toasty one in SoCal today, I think.
It was 26 degrees Celsius here yesterday, but it was kind of chilly and rainy here today.
Beautiful day in Houston, Texas. Not quite going to make 80 today.
And it's a lovely sunny evening here in London.
Sunny? You should be out taking photographs.
Yeah,
you
not a cloud.
You need to document that, James, or we won't believe you.
Photos or it didn't happen.
Isn't that like a roll of the internet?
On the weekend? Well, the sky's quite grey down here, James, so that's probably going to roll in your direction.
Uh-oh.
You know, I have sun. Look at it.
You do.
Sunny is shining. Look, bright stuff.
Actually, earlier today I saw a photo of you all dressed up, James, at Tim, and I must say you looked quite good.
Tim?
So, Tim was at a function that somebody else had taken a photo of him, and I presume it was the missus.
No, that was somebody else actually. But there you go. Yes, that was my. I got a free invite to this event, which was.
Where is it? Oh, there it is. Hang on, let me just zoom in on picture of Tim.
Yeah. No,
is that your missus in the foreground?
No, it isn't. No.
Could be though.
That's the person who invited me. I got a free invite to this dinner, which was the Northern Tech Awards. So
where's the swimmer?
Oh, complete!
Oh my!
Look at that! Complete with.
Look at that!
And here are the aforesaid cufflinks.
Ah, TARDIS cufflinks. Wow.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure whether they're bigger on the inside or not, but anyway.
The TARDIS is actually blue, and those are red, but close.
You know, there's an area of town over here where they're scattered about by the local merchants association. They have a dozen or more of them.
What, phone boxes? Blue phone boxes?
English style. Actually, they're red phone boxes.
Okay. And what's in them? Wi-Fi notes?
Telephones.
Really?
Imagine that.
Why?
I don't know. They've been there about a decade.
Okay.
And the local merchants association remade this area of town. They just decided they were going to do a couple of things to class the place up, and that was one of them.
Hey, talking about Wi-Fi real fast, did you guys see the Microsoft 360 ad that they're running that has a Wi-Fi hotspot?
It's BKW.
Yeah, Jerry,
that's
I did see
15.
it, and I thought that was very interesting that they did that.
Yeah.
But
That's
that
15.
was that all over the U.S. though, in Forbes, or just in the New York metro area?
No, I thought it was. I thought it was a national campaign, but I might be wrong. But I thought it was pretty entertaining that they embedded a Wi-Fi hotspot in a magazine ad.
Yep, I thought creative. What happens after the 15 days, though? You can then sign up for money, or?
And supposedly somebody said if you put your own SIM, the thing will continue to work.
Yeah, but if it's in a magazine, well, they're not very thick, are they? Actually, they don't have to be.
Yeah. I just thought it might be an interesting way to get piece parts for a Raspberry Pi.
There you go.
Here you are, Brian. I'm flashing my TP at you.
TP?
TP Link, whatever it is. What is it, Brian? You're muted, by the way.
3G router. I actually have mine hooked up to a solar contraption. It runs on solar power.
Right, now you're boasting.
Which wouldn't work in London.
No,
I think Brian wins.
Yeah, Brian wins.
But what does it do, Brian?
I run Pirate Box on it.
What bots?
Pirate Box.
And what does that go? ARG or something like that? Okay, good stuff. Where's that going? Oh, it's coming from over there. It's Maxim. And Maxim and Mini Maxim.
Sorry, I thought I was muted.
It's Maxi and Mini.
Maxim and Minim.
Maxim and Minim, yeah. Thank you for that.
So, at the risk of getting back on topic and
God.
and also inciting some discourse,
there's a topic, huh?
Has WebRTC actually changed the world for anybody much yet?
Not yet. Well, in fact, it probably has. Peter, it's changed the world for you, hasn't it?
I imagine it's changed Tim's world quite a bit as well.
Well, it keeps me busy. WebRTC definitely keeps me busy.
Keeps you off the street, huh?
Yeah. Keeps me awake at night.
I don't think it's changed anybody's world yet, but I mean, I think
Jungle drums are certainly beating about that, though.
Yeah, well, there's plenty of promise for it to make changes. I think the only change it's made so far is in people's expectations. I think people have suddenly realized that real-time communication might have some role in a web browser, perhaps.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think that a lot of people are coming to terms with the fact that this whole idea of real-time comm directly in a browser is something that's going to be very significant, especially at the enterprise level.
Yep. We'll throw a link into the IRC, something that could add a level of interest to all of that.
Well, it's one of the conferencing companies said that they were seeing, I think 15% of their calls were from WebRTC calls.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're in a specific niche where that makes sense. I can't remember where it was now, but
Bistry.
Right, and I don't remember why they're a special niche and why that's true, but that was what they were saying. And I think, given that Chrome is only 40% of the browser share or whatever it is, maybe it's 50 now, but that seems surprisingly high actually. But yeah, no, I mean.
Sorry.
The not there yet part, I've felt personally because I think I'm about 1 for 3 on attempts to use various different things.
Oh, I didn't see that. Panicast is interesting.
Yeah. How about a panoramic higher than HD res camera for $500?
That's pretty fun.
What can you do with it though? I mean, how can you display it? Do you need a pile of projectors in a ring or what?
No. Well, it's a little conjecture. It was a Kickstarter project that's just funded and about to deliver shortly, I gather. If you look at the link, it's a device.
Just a second, I have to cut the music.
That's a panorama alpha video.
Yeah, I look at this and I think in terms of, we talk about there have been these little sort of robot-like things that run around and sort of act as avatars for people. This would give them essentially 200-plus degree panoramic vision without having to turn a camera. It comes with a smartphone app that's intended to let you sort of pan, tilt, zoom as you would a photo in an iPhone.
You carry that with your smartphone? What?
No. This would be, and actually this, John, is more for your realm than most things, I would think.
Great.
You put it in a lecture theater at a university, and instead of having a camera that you have to turn to pan, tilt, zoom to get to somebody asking a question in the audience, it just gives you an extremely wide aspect, high resolution field of view to be able to manipulate to pan, tilt, zoom virtually around the room.
Does it is a full PTZ?
Well, it's not PTZ. Like, it doesn't move in the way a PTZ camera lens does. You have a very panoramic view, and you can select what you want to see out of it.
Yeah, I'm looking at the video, so this would just be one camera in a series of cameras if you're going to do something like that. But yeah, experientially, it's pretty cool.
I have this idea of if it actually ships and if I can actually get one, that I might acquire one for the purposes of taking panoramic wide field video of the TEDx Houston event in the fall.
Yeah, these would be like sporting events would be cool too. I mean,
I think in terms of remote participation, I'd still rather send a quadricopter than
yes, indeed. However, there's starting to be federal regulations for who can use those and when. So
whatever.
What? So you can use any gun you like, but you can't use a quadricopter.
Oh, let's not get into this.
You guys. I find the viewpoint kind of different.
It's complicated when you talk about guns and quadricopters because local police forces are buying them, right? And there's a police force not too far from Houston here that has one now.
Bad discussion.
So if you make this quadricopter a gun, does that mean that you can buy it?
No, there's actually laws against that.
Okay.
No, we can actually print one though.
Yeah, there was actually so I actually saw recently where somebody combined a paintball gun and rockets with a hexacopter.
Sweet.
There was a wonderful
James wants one.
There was a wonderful copter display at NAB last year. Very large hexacopters, large thing, maybe 1.5 yards across, capable of carrying a really nice camera.
Yeah, the hexacopter I saw was may have been a quadcopter, but it was they actually used a hula hoop as the outer edge of for the rigid body, and it carried a camera, a full-scale paintball gun, and I think about 6 rockets on it, and of course model rockets on launch wires. But it was fully I don't know if they went as far as autonomous, but it was definitely remote controllable with all the weapons fireable from the remote.
That image that I'm screen sharing now is one that's actually carrying a fully automatic machine gun.
Yep.
Yep, there you go.
Well.
Yeah, the one that I saw was actually made in Alabama, of all places, also.
I saw that video and I didn't actually believe it. It didn't. The weight distribution looked all wrong.
Hey, I want to say hello to Tony because Tony hasn't been around for a long, long time. It's nice to see you, Tony. I'm glad you could join.
Nice to be with. I lurk every week, but really haven't had a chance.
Well, you
to join you
got
guys.
into our 15 people in a phone booth session here. That's perfect.
Yeah, good to see you, Tony.
Pass the oil.
No, please don't.
Just a bunch of guys having fun. By the way, I mentioned somewhere that we needed more women, but unfortunately Suzanne is busy. We could see if you could call somebody by video, like calling Allison and say, "Hey, Allison, we'll give you a call," and call her and then have her in video. I guess if she had video, I could call her on the VVX, but I don't think she does.
Yeah.
James could put on a wig.
Yeah, we should. Let's all. Oh, that's next week. Okay, with Dan York. Don't tell anybody. Don't let this get out. Of course, we're broadcasting publicly, but there's only a few people watching. Tell Dan, hey Dan, you know we have a mixed audience, so keep it clean, and then everybody's wearing a blonde wig.
Hangouts and drag. Nice.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I'm sure that could be. So the future of Google Glass in porn, in the porn industry.
Experiential porn. Hey, why not?
That's what that Panacam's going to get used for.
It's too big for that.
That's what she said.
Oh, that's nice, James.
No, if we're going to do that, we've got to do this one. Way, look at that.
Oh, you can combine them?
I look like Tim.
You got hair.
Yeah, I think the whole augmented reality thing could be great. Yeah, you look like you have more hair tonight, honey, or honey, it looks like you've lost weight, or something's different today about our sex life.
A question for the English folks on board here.
No, honey.
Do you guys have to pay sales tax on internet purchases?
Yes.
We have to pay sales tax on everything, flat rate,
VAT?
20%. Yep.
Okay. But at least you get NHS.
I'm sorry, you pay 20%.
Here in Norway, we don't, by the way.
Yes, 20%. That's why I do my shopping in
I thought you were a VAT country. No?
We are, but we're not a member of the EU. We follow the rules, but essentially, we don't pay VAT. At least that I know of.
Boy, I think sales tax is double tax. So really, you pay, if you have a 50% marginal tax rate, your sales tax is actually 40%, right? Because you have to earn $2 to have $1 left over, so that you can pay 20 cents of it in sales tax. So okay, grumble, I'm done.
At very least, though,
the tax that it's possible to collect these days.
Yeah, at very least, though, they get the NHS out of it, which we can't say over here.
Yeah, it's also regressive, So if most people are out there stomping around talking about more progressive taxes, and sales taxes are regressive taxes.
Well, there's a whole category of exclusions, though, for basic essentials, which don't.
Oh, I see.
So,
but not crisps.
Children's clothing, and then there's this whole thing about
internet-connected devices.
Well, yeah. So it depends on whether it's a cake or a biscuit, actually, because cakes are a luxury and they attract 20% VAT, whereas biscuits are essential and don't.
Crisps versus chips.
It's even weirder than that. Cakes don't attract VAT, and neither do biscuits, but chocolate biscuits do, but chocolate cakes don't.
So
Java
when you
cakes
walk
are
into the store and something costs £1, do you lay down £1 and leave, and then the shop owner has to remove that from their top line? Correct. I see. Okay.
So all of the prices are advertised as exactly what you'll pay for them.
Which is much easier. It's really annoying when you go shopping in California and say, "Oh, that's $100," and you put down your $100 and say, well, "No, that's $108 or whatever it is." And 14%.
Yeah.
Remind me not to live in California.
Back in Ontario, they had
not
something
14% here.
Harmonization, where they incorporated the federal and the provincial sales tax.
9.75.
Montana's much nicer.
It's 11 in Illinois.
0 in Montana.
Chicago, anyway.
Well, they got to pay for all those people that are getting murdered there.
They're expensive.
Keep it nice, fellas. I like your monocle, Mr. Bodie.
Hmm. Yeah,
you look very distinguished.
No,
kind of works, doesn't
we
it?
have to pay the
Yeah, I
we have to
actually
pay
like the
the freedom
contour,
from excessive
headdress.
taxation surcharge. Yeah, the freedom from excessive taxation surcharge. That's the newest one.
Is that a tax?
I'm just teasing, but that would be really funny and ironic.
Or a fee?
Yeah, exactly. It's not a tax; it's a fee. Still goes into the general fund.
Oh my
Oh,
god,
I'm
silence.
upgrading the raring now, and oh my god, hope it works. Ubuntu 3.13.04.
Oh, it's out, is it?
Yeah, it's released.
And what are first impressions, or is it too early to say?
I've heard a lot of people say it's blazingly fast compared to the last one. So,
Well, I thought the previous one was, well, is pretty good. So
I think there were problems with 12.10. 13.04 is going to be. They've done some pretty cool stuff. It mostly interface work, but they've also got the latest kernel in it, and I don't think they haven't upgraded GNOME yet, but we'll see.
Ah, GNOME, sweet GNOME.
Has anyone played with Firefox OS on a mobile yet?
Nope.
No.
Yeah, I've seen it, but I haven't personally played with it.
I've used it on the Nexus, but it's just not there. At least, well, with my connectivity, it's not great.
So you had to install it. You could install it on a Nexus.
Yeah, there's a ROM. You can do it.
for the Google Nexus. So in theory, I could take this thing and put Firefox OS on it.
Are you thinking of running WebRTC then? Is that
It's not available yet. It is, however, on Chrome and Nightly Firefox on here, apparently. I've tried the Chrome one. I haven't done the Nightly Firefox yet.
How did you get on? Were you successful?
Well, on Chrome?
Yeah, WebRTC.
WebRTC on Chrome works fine. It's not... the user experience isn't exactly optimized for that screen size, but for most of the sites, but it works.
I had a really excellent demonstration on Monday morning of WebRTC on Nexus 7.
Oh yeah? Good. Using what?
I don't know. What were you using, Peter?
It was our own client that has a slightly modified version of GSIP as the SIP stack.
So it was an app rather than
HTML5 web app, yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, it ran in the Chrome browser, but.
Oh, okay. No, hang on.
Yeah.
Now right.
It SIP over WebSockets for the signaling and WebRTC for the media.
To WebRTC to where? To another WebRTC client or to a gateway or what?
It was to Chrome on a desktop that
Okay.
we were showing.
Right. So not out to PSTN or anything like that.
No, working on that.
Okay. So Brian, are you there? Is he gone? He's vanished. I was going to ask him about FreeSwitch and WebRTC, but he's not here, so that's going to be difficult.
There was some talk about it.
There he is. He's back
with
now.
Ken.
What was that?
Yes, sir. They're asking about FreeSwitch and WebRTC. All I can really say is it's coming. Keep your eyeballs open.
Yeah, go on, Brian.
That's about all I can say.
That's really all we can say right now. Our hands are kind of tied on that, but I think maybe a month or so, right, Brian? I think we should have some really interesting discussion on that front.
If not sooner.
But the boys are working hot and heavy on it, but I don't think anything's ready for show and tell yet.
Hey, Randy, here's an opportunity for you to get a new show together in about a month's time.
Actually, the 23rd of June, isn't it? Isn't that what we have scheduled? Let me look.
I'd be interested in watching.
What is it?
I'm trying to find my calendar.
What day? Well, I think Anthony emailed you about it instead of.
Yeah, it's the. Oh, this is May. It's June 21st, first day of summer. June 21st. Easy to remember, first day of summer.
So that's a couple of months' time.
Yeah, they got 2 months to get it together.
Okay.
Hold on a second, I get my coffee.
And before then, May 31st, Alex Saunders from RIM, BlackBerry.
It's BlackBerry, not RIM.
RIM doesn't exist anymore?
The company formerly known as RIM. RIM's gone.
RIM n'existe pas.
RIM n'existe pas.
But Alec, if I remember rightly, is actually employed by QNX.
Well, he's coming from there at any rate, yeah.
I don't know if that's a Canadian tax dodge or what. But,
Look, Daniel has joined the IRC. I want to know whether Daniel has got Kamaelian working on his Raspberry Pi yet.
Yeah, right. That's all he has to do.
What I would really like to know is whether or not the folks who were on just a little while ago, I've just lost them. The Blink folks have video as a media type passing through Silk Server.
Adrian,
yes. AG projects. I am keenly waiting on this idea that I can gateway video from an XMPP type session into a SIP session.
What's your specific use case for that? I mean, I think it's interesting, but where would you use it?
To use non-browser endpoints.
That are XMPP capable already, or what?
No, the idea being if I've got a hardware type endpoint it's not soft. It's a hardware type endpoint,
right?
And it's SIP capable, and I'd like to hit a gateway and then relay that into an XMPP session so that that endpoint might participate in Google Chat with video or something like that.
Right. I'm just
because webcams suck.
Mm-hmm.
And there are just so many other options, but everything that seems to be revolving around a PC platform, hangs their hat on webcams, and there aren't that many. I mean, the experience can be okay, but it's inherently limiting.
Have you seen Carl on these Hangouts? How good his video is? Carl, how come you're not on the Hangout?
I'm sorry, I can't join right now.
Oh, that's too bad.
I believe Carl's
work. I have to find my.
You have to work.
Find my. Yeah, exactly. I have to find my George Jetson fake, fake hair and face mask. Remember that?
What is your what is your camera though? Because your video is really great. I was looking at it the other day, and it's stable and really.
It's not my camera, Randy.
It's the bandwidth, the face.
It's my mask. It's my fake George Jetson just got up in the morning but still look handsome mask.
Oh yeah, there is that.
I don't know if you know this, but I'm like a skinny Chinese woman
with no teeth. If you've read that book.
Nope. I haven't read that book.
You don't even think about that.
Go there.
But
skinny Chinese woman who used to be a man.
No.
However,
nope. I just smoked, so that's my voice is this deep.
Carl, are you going to ClueCon? You got your tickets yet?
I don't have any tickets to go to ClueCon. Is that in Chicago again this year?
It is in Chicago again this year.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to get a ride across the street.
Yeah, really, that's going to be terrible.
Our office to the. It literally is like just I could throw a rock and hit the facility, so I don't have an excuse I should look into that.
Yeah, throw an ATA
What is it?
instead, or a Cisco or something.
Yeah, send an armed quadricopter under IVR
That's
control.
right, exactly. Carrying a
Your
carrying a
camera.
So,
Hey, don't laugh. We were talking about doing it.
The camera that I use is the one that I received gifted to me by Logitech for participating in that one trial conference we did. So it's a what is it? It's a 910. Is that what it's called?
C910.
It's a C910.
Good camera.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. There's a new version of it that is slightly less expensive and slightly worse, apparently.
There's been two new versions. There's the C920, which, hang on, which one do I have? C920, and there's now a C930 as well.
I see. Is what I read in the reviews, the user reviews in Amazon at Amazon.com, were saying the 910 had better video quality, even though it was more expensive. Do you know whether or not they took yet another dive, or whether they fixed the quality, improved the quality for them?
I don't know, because I don't have that one. I can tell you what I've been tinkering with in the evenings this week. Is I have 5 different webcams and webcam-like things hooked up to this one computer. I was bringing them into a Wirecast session, and I was sort of doing, A, B, C, D, E comparisons in pairs and also in more than pairs. And it's very possibly this activity that has in fact freaked out the Google Hangout plugin that just doesn't know what to do with all this stuff, because it won't run on that PC anymore. But I can tell you this much: I have a Logitech C9000, which is their first HD webcam, the C920, the BCC 950, which is the little conference room one, and then a FreeTalk Everyman webcam. And there's one other one. Oh yeah, there's this Video 360 one, which is kind of intended for slightly larger conference rooms. It's really interesting to compare them all, because they're all terrible in one fashion or another. And
it's also impressive to me about cameras is how gracefully, how poorly computer widgets age, but how gracefully good optics age. In other words, like I've got a 10-year-old webcam. It's one of the first webcams. This is Sony, and I think it's 10 plus years old. And it's I think I bought it in 2000, and or maybe 2001 or 2. It's still.
My expectation is that I think it's really about expectation. People expect so little from webcams because historically they've done so little. But if you turn around and look at more serious video conferencing tools, it's only in the relatively recent past and only really down market where the better grade of webcams comes into play as being engaged in that. Anybody who's invested enough in cameras to own a DSLR, and we actually own several of these because my wife won't let me throw anything away. If I'd be willing to spend some money on a camera, and I'm I don't. It doesn't need to be $99 or $129. I'll go $200, $300, $400 if it can do more and be better quality and give me more control, right? But fixed focal length and no control of colorimetry and all that's bad.
Don't you reach a point where the fact that it's external means that you're limited by the USB bus and the driver issues and all of that stuff, and that's why actually, you probably do better with a decent laptop with a built-in camera and built-in microphone than you will with, an external
I don't
device.
believe so.
The built-in one's USB anyway, so.
Yeah, I don't believe so. And there is a certain reality that 720p, I did the math on this for a blog post that's upcoming, 720p HD at 30 frames per second at 8-bit color depth and 422 sampling is 422 megabits per second. That's uncompressed. So it fits down a USB 2 wire handily, but only just. And more recent crops of these products have a little encoder silicon on the chip, so they do the H.264 right there and then send the encoded stream down the wire, so bandwidth's not an issue. But you're right. There are no USB 3 webcams, at least not in consumer space. There are in industrial space, but.
You know, the camera on the D9 Nikon D90 is actually quite nice.
And there's an app that I tried on my Canon Rebel XSI. It works on a bunch of them. That you can actually use a little USB connection, and it turns the live viewfinder function into a kind of a webcam. But it's a bit of a hack. It's not very good. It does work though, and you get better glass for your trouble, but you get a relatively slow and low resolution video stream.
Wow. Is that me or is that everybody?
Sorry, you sound fine.
Everybody else sounds fine as well. So
what's going on?
Michael just went real. I thought I was muted, but Michael just went really jittery for me there. Probably CenturyLink, or excuse me, CenturyTel.
Oh,
this has got jittery stream.
On the subject of jittery streams, what do you think of Dan's photo? By the way, can you see Dan's photo? Dirty job, but somebody.
Which one's Dan?
Is that his daily drive?
No, he drove up to this Formula One team in Oxfordshire this week in his Mercedes, and it was so upset by him coveting the Formula One car that it promptly sprayed hydraulic fluid all around his engine compartment. And he currently has his car in the repair shop. Have his suspension fixed. But anyway, that's a Formula One car. What do you think then? It's a bit green, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody would actually accuse Formula One cars of being green.
Nice.
Yeah. But Andy, you're a bit of a Formula One aficionado, are you not?
I follow it, yes. I wouldn't call myself an absolute aficionado. I do seem to get an awful lot of Google Plus Formula One group posts, though.
Although, to be fair, going back to green Formula One, there was a thing that came across my desk this morning, which is a green Formula One car. I'm going to try and find the link to it.
It can do one lap.
Oh no! It's completely crazy thing that
downhill.
Done. So no, it's oh dear me, where's it gone? I'll find it in a second. I'll come
0
back.
to 30 in 30 seconds or something like that.
Oh no! It's 0 to 60 in 6 seconds.
Oh, are you talking about the Renault thing that they've tweeted up? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, you Twitter pictured it earlier, didn't you?
I did. I'll drop it in the ILC.
What did you say? 0 to 60 in 6 seconds?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a dog.
Oh, you got to see it first.
You know, you actually, I think you'd feel the excitement in this thing if you did 0 to 60 in 6 seconds.
I had two racing Vipers, so I could plaster that car real fast.
Yeah. But see the picture before you get the full joy of Renault's complete insanity.
Find the picture.
Yeah, no, I've just dropped it in the IRC.
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
If somebody knows how to drag that into Hangouts, then they're welcome to. I don't think I know how. I'm sure there's a way. Maybe I'll just drag and drop it. See what
the chat. You just put it in the chat.
Okay.
Copy paste. Oh yeah, that's a lovely. Look, it's a golf cart. Nice.
Yeah, but doing 0 to 60 in 6 seconds in a golf cart is actually pretty terrifying, I think.
It's actually got a really low center of gravity. It wouldn't be that bad.
Where is it?
But there are no windows.
Oh, here it comes.
I mean, there's no
no doors.
No doors. No. I've actually seen one of the originals of this in France, and it makes sense in a dry climate. But anywhere wet, you just it would be a total disaster.
Yeah.
Here you go.
It's a souped-up go-kart.
I love the spoiler on the front.
It's a smart car.
Yeah,
Modern
the
smart.
splitter on the front is hilarious. It's like it. I would love to see the CD on that car in the tunnel. It would be hilarious.
But they've got the trick they've done is they've got the regenerative braking charging what I guess must be a damn great capacitor, because you can dump the regenerative energy into the motors, but you've only got 13 seconds to do it in before it runs out. So you can do this kind of, it's like dropping nitro in the.
It's a supercapacitor.
Yeah. It's just like a sudden burst of speed. So you can burn somebody off at the lights once, and then you've got to kind of build it up again. I think it's brilliant. Totally insane.
So I put an electric car on my page there. It shows 3.7 seconds, 0 to 62, and
yeah, that's more like it.
Slightly under 4 seconds.
But that's a car, not a go-kart. I mean, you know.
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
Speaking
I
of,
just thought it was interesting. It's just total electric.
Yeah, the Teslas will put you in the seat real fast. I mean, there's no delay when you hit the pedal.
Go ahead.
Carl's brother drives one. Two.
Yeah, that's right. He has actually two. He just bought a Model S, and he had the Roadster, and the Roadster is preferable. I'm sorry. No. Just the opposite. The Model S is preferable, and you'd think like, oh well, the Roadster is like more spunky, better handling, etc. And the answer is nope. The Model S is better in every way. I mean, it's like
the Model S was but it was designed from the ground up, and the initial the Roadster was based on the Lotus
Elise.
Entire Lotus Elise package. So it's like it's to get that balance right is really hard.
Yeah. Moreover, the Roadster had what was it? The Roadster had so the transmission was not a from scratch build.
That's right. It wasn't.
Oh no.
Yeah, no, they did about 3 versions of the transmission before they got it right, didn't they?
Yeah, because it was at first a 2-speed transmission, and they had to take out the second speed.
Yeah, I mean they learned an inordinate amount from that Roadster work. I mean and that's why the S does go way beyond that. So it's going to be interesting to see where Tesla goes in the future.
Why does Fisker go bankrupt and Tesla doesn't?
If you're just joining us, folks,
Fisker's light up on fire.
Conference. That's all.
Well, I think somebody checked the auto button on their browser and talking about cars.
Did you see all the Fiskers that went up in flames? That's why Fisker's BK.
Yeah. Also with the Fisker, I think is a little bit of a mutt, in the sense that it doesn't really, it doesn't. It's so heavy, you know what I mean? Like it's trying to do everything, and it kind of ends up doing nothing. You know what I mean? It's like the Oreck 8-pound vacuum cleaner. It doesn't have a hose. It doesn't have all these things. But it's because of what it doesn't have that allows it to do that one.
Yeah, they went specifically after the supercar market, in which you can get away with not having all that crap, right? If you call it an electric supercar, which is what their pitch was, if you ever got into, some other supercars, they don't have a lot of, my original Vipers, barely had air conditioning, so
like a Celine or something like that.
Yeah, they're bare buckets. You get into them, and it's like you're sitting on an engine, basically.
In a bucket, yeah, in an actual bucket. What I think is most interesting about that is you get into the Model S and you look at that 20 touch screen, and there is nothing about first of all that user interface is brilliant, right? It's just really well done, and there's nothing about Tesla that gave them an edge in that department. There is any auto company anywhere in any part of the world, and they could have done it. They could have done it better because they have more funding, and they didn't, and they don't. And that is, I think that might speak to why Tesla is doing well, is because I think that Elon Musk is a visionary, in the same way that Steve Jobs was visionary. And so it's that attention to detail, it's the vision of what matters, that's what makes the difference. It's everything else is just execution, right? And everybody in the process of execution competes with exactly the same resources. Everybody has access to the same labor market, they have access to the same information technology, they have access to all the same stuff, and you have to have the right vision, otherwise all that stuff
but Tesla
is poorly
Tesla has a much different production expectation in regards to how many units it's going to move in a given year, right? And I don't think they don't have any expectation of being a GM from that perspective. So when you take a look at the entire production cycle of the vehicle, then you can see why, I agree that the interface on their onboard telemetrics and all the rest of it are phenomenal. I mean, they're awesome, but it's a much different scenario in regards to producing how many of those vehicles a year versus, what Detroit throws out. Well, actually, Detroit doesn't push much of anything out anymore, but, some of the other auto manufacturers.
I think I read a Wired article about Fisker, and they were saying that basically they bought everything in. So it was it's a huge subcontracting organization. So all of the design work was bought in and not on. And they didn't really have enough expertise in-house to know what it was that they were getting. I don't know if that article was accurate or not, but that was the story they appeared to be telling.
Yeah, and it's all about the details. And so I think it's all about the details. And if you don't, I think it's a little bit like buying information technology. My experience in the industry has been that with things changing so quickly, it's very, very, very difficult to tell the difference between an excellent decision and a horrible decision when it comes to long-term strategic technical frameworks. And very, very few people know the difference, and essentially between a great solution and a terrible solution. And it takes a tremendous amount of getting your hands dirty and understanding of every nuance of the underlying technology to understand how you're going to implement that technology to solve your business problems and keep you agile and have a competitive over other people in your space. And what I've experienced is if there's a technology that I'm not expert in, I have to get so close to it in order to make an informed decision that there's very little difference between that kind of working expertise and actually doing certain things. In other words, by the time you get enough expertise to make the right decision, it's not a whole lot different than doing all of those things plus, hammering out a simple execution, which is, you get 90% education and 10% execution. And anyway, so I guess I'm just saying that if the auto industry is anything like information technology or technology in general, I think you have to get your hands really, really dirty.
Well, that was what was so clever about doing the Roadster. Was it gave them the opportunity to get their hands really, really dirty as you were saying, but in a contained production run, in a small production run. Yeah. They get their hands dirty. They could try stuff. They could mess up with the transmission, and it wasn't, I say mess up, but they could try a couple of revs on the transmission and still make a car that people wanted, which I think is very clever. And then learn from it, make another car that even more people wanted.
As you guys seem to be a little auto aficionados, and also some of you over in the UK, do you think that Lotus took many lessons out of Tesla's experience? Because the one thing that impressed me was I really liked the look of the Elise, and I knew a couple of people who owned them, but Tesla's Roadster, just the body style of it, was head and shoulders better than Lotus's original.
Well, if I understand correctly, the Roadster was a carbon fiber monocoque remake of that. Is that right? I mean, I think the Elise is aluminum, right?
Yeah, but I'm just talking about body shape and just stylings.
I see. You mean just like the skin?
Yeah.
I think the Elise had a mixed track record over here. Anywhere with a wet climate, it was difficult because the roof didn't fit. So I mean, I was driving an MX-5 when the Elise was kind of hot here, and one of the things, kind of running jokes in the pub would be, well, it took my MX-5 about 12 years before the roof leaked, whereas it was a lot quicker in the Elise. It was like almost out of the gate they'd leak.
Yeah, a coworker of mine in the UK had the Vauxhall branded version of the Elise, the VX something.
Oh yeah, right.
And
the MX have a rotary?
No, and Mazda doesn't have a rotary anymore.
No, the RX-8 is a rotary, isn't it?
Yeah, they don't sell it anymore. They can't manufacture it.
Oh, really?
It's not legal for sale in anywhere with emissions controls these days because it throws out too much oil, unburnt oil.
Oh, so it goes.
Too bad. That's the death knell for the rotary engine.
Yeah, so that's my RX-8 is now. I couldn't replace it if I wanted to, but I barely drive it these days anyway. So I'm kind of waiting for an electric car I want, which I haven't quite got there yet. But there are some candidates on the horizon anyway. I think the electric Cinquecento looks like fun, but that's California only.
Not so much the Nissan Leaf. That's not going to do it for you coming out of the MX-5.
The Leaf's interesting, but the range is just too short. I have a couple of journeys that I would make. I barely drive these days, and when I do drive, I drive like last night. I drove to this event in Manchester, and that is, depending on the route, that's like an 80-mile round trip, and that's just beyond the safe range for something like the Leaf. Particularly if you kind of put the heating on, or get stuck in traffic, or
the other thing is you can't run your battery down. You really have to factor in never battery down below 50%, and ideally you just want to float around the top, because if you factor in the cost of operating that vehicle, everybody likes to say, oh, whatever, you're getting the effective 180 or 200 miles of the gallon in terms of dollars per mile traveled, and really that's the wrong question. The right question is a combination of the energy cost plus battery depreciation, because if you only have, say, 3,000 full charge cycles out of the battery, you're going to spend more money per charge cycle in battery depreciation than you will in actual energy.
Oh, well, that depends on how you buy the car. I mean, I think if I was going to get an electric car, it would be on a lease. It would be on a 3-year lease, so that
right.
I give it back.
But no matter how you slice it, the amount of value that's destroyed, the cost to build the battery, whether you buy it or somebody else owns it, multiplied by the amount that it loses its useful ability per cycle.
Right, but I'm not going to take the risk. I think you're right, but I wouldn't, at this stage in the car's evolution, I wouldn't be taking that risk. I'd let somebody else do it.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing to think about is like if you own a car, no matter if it's really, really expensive or just really expensive to depreciate the battery, you really need to factor in making your daily usage of that battery such that you're kind of, treating the battery the way the Prius does, which it kind of keeps it mostly charged most of the time. It doesn't fully charge it ever, and it doesn't ever let it down below 70%. You have a little bit more leeway with these lithium batteries versus nickel batteries, which are what's in the Prius. But the lithium batteries, it's my understanding, is that you definitely don't want to go below 50%, and essentially the shallower you make that charge-discharge cycle, the higher the number of amp hours you'll get out of the battery in its total life.
So what that tells me is that really what I want to do is try and find a car park in Manchester or Manchester Airport or Liverpool. My current regular medium distance journeys, I need to find a car park that will charge it. When I'm parked there for a few hours. I mean, that's probably possible, but I haven't seriously looked into this yet. But I haven't seen a petrol car I want anymore. That may be just like temporary, but
You just get
Tesla has an app on the phone on their and it will basically.
And Carl goes away.
So there's kind of a. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're back now.
How about now? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. That was a decked fallout.
No, that was me. I'm really sorry. I've got my mic off and it's detecting my keyboard, so I try to really be careful. I'm sorry.
No worries. I just walked toward to the perimeter of my decked range, and so I thought that my decked headset had dropped out.
Your volume has gone way down, that's for sure.
Has it? No. How about now? Is that any better?
I turned it up a little.
Okay. All this stuff, it's like voodoo. I think I'm doing it, but actually Randy's doing it. So, okay, so from now on, I'm going to hop up and down on one leg and pat my head. Seems like that's what makes it work. Okay.
You know, I can't even type. I can't even type two. I can't even type 2 letters now without. I'm trying to figure out how I can do this. I'll just stop typing, I guess. And listen.
Book.
pfSense. Somebody tell Carl what he was talking about. And my apologies again.
Oh yeah, the app, the app on the phone. Yeah, so it'll tell you not only where you can find places to charge, but there's. It's my understanding that they have essentially a cooperative network of people, and essentially by allowing somebody to come in and use your charger, you can use their charger, and I don't know if it's bill and keep or whether there's some kind of compensation, but it certainly adds.
Oh,
it's an interesting idea.
It's the phone model, but for charging rather than Wi-Fi.
Yes, that's right. That's right, exactly. And the stakes are higher, but at the same time, if you can afford a Model S, you probably aren't going to care as much about an occasional $5 blip on your electric bill, especially if it averages out.
Yeah, no, I think it's interesting.
I know a lot about it. That's just my understanding.
I think there's capacity for some interesting stuff. So I was talking about this the other night. About there's I don't know if you've seen Nest are busy doing a deal with which one was it? One of the power companies, Texas I think, but one of the state power companies. Nest are doing a deal where if you have a Nest thermostat controlling your aircon, and you agree to let them remote control it for N days a year, then you get a 20% cut off your bill. And this is done because the power company at peak times has to buy power in from other providers at stupid rates. So what they're doing, rather than that, is they're effectively buying capacity off their customers. So their customers are reducing the amount of consumption at peak times, remotely managed by Nest. Now this is interesting, but what's really clever is Nest are claiming to be smart about this, and what they do is, if they know one of these periods is coming, then they pre-cool your house by an extra degree or so that you can coast through the hour-and-a-half dead zone, and only at the tail end of that are you actually warmer than you'd be comfortable with. Which I thought was fascinating. So you take that and then you start doing.
Honey, why can't I see my own breath here in the living room?
Yeah, right, exactly. Well, that's because it's going to be warmer later, honey.
Exactly. Just soak it all in right now. You'll be glad you did.
I tell you what, we love our Nest. We really do.
But wait, so you combine that with all of these electric vehicles sitting on the driveway or in the garage, and you use them as a damn great storage facility.
Yeah. The problem with that, and that's a clever idea, and it's been thrown around a lot. The problem with that is that, again, coming down to the cost of cycling the battery, you can't, even if the energy were free, zero cost, you can't put it in and take it out of the battery for for less than essentially the most expensive rate that power ever has. So it's that.
So the battery life is that. Yeah. So you're aging the battery prematurely, and that's the biggest cost.
Well, there are other factors here as well.
Ends up being 10 times the cost. Say again?
There are other factors here as well. There are more different social factors as well. With things like, are you expecting, if you drive along to go in a car park and or park on the road or whatever, and you want to charge your car, are you expecting to have to take your own charging cable with you? Are you expecting there to be one there? Are you still expecting your charging cable to be there 4 hours later? Are these car parks attended? I think there are social implications to these things as well. And metal theft is huge now.
Yeah, who would have thought that?
I think there's a little bit of early internet dynamic going on. You know what I mean? Remember how like the early internet was essentially a closed, trusted network, and then the fiber cable between here and say, far away was established, and suddenly it became the untrusted network where you have to, you know what I mean? So there's a sort of a small self-selecting group of participants in that community. But I guess what your point is that, any thug can walk up and steal your charge cable.
Yeah, they're stripping.
I mean, they can steal the car as well.
Yeah, they're stripping copper out of panels, out of houses and businesses around here. I mean, it's. And by the way, who would have thought that airbags would have been like the primary target for theft, automobile theft? They literally rip your steering wheel off just to get the airbag because they're worth a ton of money.
There was an interesting story here in Houston.
As a commodity or because of its raw materials?
No, as a commodity.
They're expensive. You have to replace. There's an interesting story here where literally because the television station's broadcast towers are way out in sort of cow pastures, somebody noticed that the transmission line that goes up these transmitter towers is basically like 4-inch diameter copper. It's a lot of copper. And there's, upwards of a megawatt of RF. Well, they actually yanked the transmission line out of a tower while it was hot. And it's amazing that they didn't simply fry themselves, although they certainly probably affected some family planning. But they did get arrested.
I was going to say, I hope they weren't planning on having children, which is probably for the best for everybody.
Yeah.
Get that out of the gene pool.
Yeah, where my wife works, they have gone about putting welded steel cages around all of the air conditioning equipment at all of the city's community centers and park buildings and stuff because people were just yanking the exterior coils and taking them to recyclers. Grim.
What's Bitcoin doing today?
So that's an interesting topic in itself. Does anybody have an opinion about it in terms of what I'm thinking of specifically is, people who use Bitcoin are essentially working around the infrastructure of the taxation system. So in the same way that in the same way that, say, online retailers are getting a benefit by circumventing sales tax, at least in the United States, they have a huge leg up. And in a similar fashion, Bitcoin, because it's sort of off-grid, is able to conceal things for the purposes of trafficking and taxation and things like that. And in my thinking, my manner of thinking, it seems like this is a huge and persistent advantage. Right? Like, in other words, that advantage will persist almost no matter what changes, and so it may or may not be Bitcoin, but it'll be something else that is going to swoop in and take that advantage if Bitcoin ends up being the MySpace of the e-currency. Do you know what I mean? And gets trumped by, say, Facebook. You know what I mean? Bitcoin 2.0 or whatever.
I mean, I'm not sure Bitcoin is there just to circumvent tax, because you could say the same thing for cash, right? If every transaction will be conducted in cash, you could do the same thing.
Yeah, that's true.
By the way, it's trading at around $135 right now, right?
And it was up as high as what was it? Was it a 210?
250.
I think it was higher.
250.
I mean, it was above 200 euros.
Yeah, 265, I think. Yeah, I think it was 265.
Yeah.
The high was 266. I'm looking at the chart right now.
I mean, So I mean, I agree. It's a very interesting topic. I think Bitcoin is fantastic for payments because think about it, you can send a payment around the world in seconds, literally, right?
Right.
So for that, it's fantastic. And
so it's like PayPal.
I think the
No, it's not.
yeah, except you don't have any fees, right?
There's no middleman.
Or not
There's no
high
middleman in
fees
Bitcoin.
with PayPal, right?
There's no opportunity for
but the
PayPal to hold on to your money for as long as they choose to. Just
Right. There's no one
for a
that can shut
random-
down the transaction. You can't even shut down a Bitcoin transaction once you've made it. Once it's moved from your wallet to somebody else's wallet, that's all she wrote.
It's done. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
it's done, right? It's irreversible. I mean, I think the other thing that's really hurting Bitcoin right now is the current volatility because that really makes it very hard for businesses to actually accept Bitcoin. I run like a small VoIP web page, and I accept Bitcoin as a payment. And and the other day, somebody charged his account for 30 euros, and in reality, he paid me 90 euros, which worked.
Right, because they don't understand the exchange
you know,
rates.
I think that's a real problem of that currency right now. It has to become more stable.
This is a big problem with Bitcoin. It's not a currency, right? It isn't a currency. It's a commodity. In its current state, the way this is all playing out, it's a commodity. It is not a currency.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of obstacles that have to be overcome with Bitcoin, specifically in the marketplace and how, from a consumer standpoint, how Bitcoin gets, how Bitcoin can give a better experience from an end user perspective, and letting people better understand what the real, not thinking about the Bitcoin versus its value on the market. Against the USD or against the euro or against anything else. I mean, but right now it's a commodity, and that if you're going to play Bitcoin, you play it as a commodity. That's all you can do.
So Jerry, I totally agree with you, and I might agree with you for more reasons than you're thinking of. Can you tell me how you define a commodity versus a currency? Because I mean, in some.
So the word gold standard has to be used at some point soon.
Yes, and
I was going to say, and to that point, I would say any what's the word? Freak purists that think we all need to be on the gold standard because it's real, need look no further than Bitcoin. I mean, look at Bitcoin volatility. The reason that Bitcoin is so volatile is because there's no central bank essentially readjusting its value by diluting or concentrating the Bitcoin supply to match the number of people who want Bitcoins. The reason that it jumped up to $270 or whatever is because there's a finite number of them. There's only a certain. I mean, if there's only whatever 2 million Bitcoins. Imagine that there were $2 million dollars.
There's half of those out. There's 10 million out of 21 million ultimately going to be done. So there's 10 million in the marketplace.
So $10 million. What if there were only $10 million in the world, right? And we had to sort of split that up among all the goods and services. A dollar would be worth $1 million. Would be worth $1 million.
Unlike a dollar,
subdivided.
Yeah. Unlike a dollar, though, I mean, Bitcoin is divisible by 8. Okay, and it can be divisible by more if they wanted it to be. Right. So it's 21 million.
Oh, that's an interesting idea. Yeah, that's an interesting idea. Yeah, I have to think about that. I think though what would happen in that case is that if the market, if the number of I think that doesn't change anything if I think about it correctly, because what would happen is, let's say that the economy were to double in size, that would essentially mean that the Bitcoin would become twice as valuable because you'd have to divide it in two to purchase the same thing. So if you wanted to purchase 1 gallon of milk and it used to cost 1 Bitcoins, and now this artificial example economy, which exists of nothing other than gallons of milk, needs to double in scale in every way. Suddenly, you're charging half a Bitcoin for a gallon of milk, and your Bitcoin is just inflated by 50%, and that means that, or by 100%. That means if you have an agreement to pay X number of Bitcoins per month for your rent just doubled. So I'm just speaking top of mind here, so if anybody has a economist's bent they want to throw at this. But I think
I don't have an economist bent.
Yeah.
I
think that's the
I have a
trouble with
libertarian bent.
Jerry, your audio is kind of low, by the way.
It's low? Really?
You could boost a little bit, yeah.
Okay.
Did we all see the spreadsheet errors that grounded the whole Western economy? So the thing about this economic paper that was
Yeah, I saw something about that go by.
I think that's brilliant. It's just like this whole paper on the thesis that if you hit over 90% of GDP as debt, then your economy falls off a cliff. And this is based on a well-respected paper. And it turns out that some grad student, as his third-year project was to reproduce this paper from the available data, and he couldn't. And the reason is that the spreadsheet had a series of errors in it. But in the meantime, governments all around the world have been basing their austerity packages on getting under the 90% because it was a magic number, an important number. And so
I was under the impression that it was a historical thing, like essentially there haven't been any examples of countries who have had debt to GDP ratios of in excess of 90% that have ever essentially recovered gracefully.
That is true, and
that's my understanding.
Yeah, and that is true.
So I think that's where that came from.
So there was the specific paper apparently made a huge set of errors to do with New Zealand. I don't quite understand why, but the press I've read about it was that the New Zealand line in the spreadsheet was just wrong in several important respects, and that constitutes a 15th of the data. So it was like just wrong to a large extent. I mean, that's not just.
How about the Associated Press tweet that killed the stock market? I mean, that's
amazing.
What I posted about that was that says more about you than it does about AP or hackers. I meant by you, I meant anybody who actually was, made a big action of buy or sell based on something they saw on Twitter.
Well, kind of, but if it's real, right? In other words, you see something on Twitter, there's some calculatable probability of it being true, and if you were the first to know that a plane struck the World Trade Center, you're the first person to get out of the market before it drops.
But you're basing it on.
It's an irrational behavior.
Well, no, you're basing it on the trust in Twitter, which is stupid.
Well, no, because I heard a trader talking.
It's not a matter of black and white. In other words, if something shows up on Twitter, there's a possibility that it's wrong.
Yeah.
But there's also a possibility that if something shows up on the news, it's wrong. There was a funny example of a news agency that was reporting on an airplane that crashed on a highway, and it turns out that they were literally reporting it. Oh yeah, it looks like the ambulances are pulling up on the scene. Well, it turns out it was a movie set. And they're reporting on it.
Yeah, no, I mean anything can be true.
There's some. Go ahead.
Anything can be true. Anything can be false. I get that.
Sure.
But I think that when you're talking about investing,
showing up on Twitter.
Well, if you're talking about investing, you're in a circle of responsibility where if you're going to be part of a movement that happened to be downward in this case, I mean there are so many great possibilities for fraud on Twitter as it is with manipulating stock. I don't think, by the way, I believe there was at least one case where somebody actually did that on purpose and manipulated the stock, whereas this was just a hack thing, I think.
So are you sure? Are you sure that this wasn't someone that was, let's say, a terrorist that decided I'm going to hack the AP just so that I can short the Dow, and as soon as that dropped down, I made my $100,000, whatever I needed to, and I got back out again. And 30 seconds later, all the program buying stopped, and then that was the end of it, and it recovered in 5 minutes.
Well, I think that that's less likely only because if you were going to do it, you would do it targeted on something that you could definitely hit and make money on immediately, rather than crashing the whole market. But it's certainly not impossible.
Well, they don't care about the market. They just wanted to make money.
The other problem there.
No, I get that. I get that.
That is the market, isn't it?
Well, they're going to go back and
somebody made. Wait a minute, Carl. Somebody made money on that.
I'm sure.
Well, yeah, but
no, but I mean on purpose?
But
No, we don't know that.
I would say that we don't know that, but I guess your point is that somebody could have,
Right.
but they would have needed it to be an effective strategy. And my point is that.
And I think that's
if
happened.
somebody did it on purpose, then it was absolutely an effective strategy. That's my point.
Well, I think it was the effective. I think the effective strategy was that they wanted to do something crazy, and it was done. You know, that there was a movement.
Yeah.
We're going to do this, and that's it. I could be wrong, and there's no question that could be. It could have been anything. I think that was the idea.
I heard a trader talking about this, and he said, well, the thing was that once the market had started to move on this story, then it made its own facts because the market was going down. So if you're a responsible trader, you actually have to take account of the fact that the market is moving. Ignore the original cause. The market's moving, so you then have to follow it with whatever short-term rules you're following. So
yeah, it's an avalanche. No, there's no question. I mean, so whether anybody's actually taking advantage of the system or not, we don't know. But
well, the one thing is they're going to scrutinize the hell out of that trade. I mean, they're going to go find that trade and they're going to figure out what's going on. I mean, there's not a lot of anonymity in the marketplace when it comes to this kind of crap.
That's true. And they might roll it back.
It'll be interesting to see if something actually comes up on that. Yeah. The first appearance is that just somebody screwing around.
Tor broker.
Tor broker. Is this a thing?
Tor broker?
Yeah, that exists, really?
So is this
I mean,
level?
So
Sorry.
supposedly it's a broker, it's a stock broker, kind of like the Silk Road. So you can only access it through Tor, and you got to pay in Bitcoin.
That's funny.
To buy and
Of
sell
course,
stuff,
of course.
But it's not. Yeah.
They wouldn't take PayPal.
Well, you heard PayPal's going to take Bitcoin, haven't you?
I haven't, but why not?
They're looking at it. Right?
They're looking at it.
That's what
Yep, they're looking at it right now.
Bitcoin.
Yeah, man, PayPal chaps my hide.
My question is, how long will it be before trading in Bitcoin becomes illegal when, governments realize that their role as a currency provider, even if it's a commodity, it's functioning de facto as a currency because people are using it to exchange value. How long is it going to be before they say, "Hey, we're losing"?
Well, isn't barter illegal, Carl? Wasn't that in Mr. Smith Goes to Washington? It was one of those James.
Yeah, I believe
movies.
you're right. I believe it is.
Barter is illegal.
Not allowed. Or,
yeah.
If you do, you're essentially you're required, essentially by law, to figure out what essentially if you find $1 and pick it up, that's taxable income. If somebody gives you, anyway, there's all kinds of rules about that. So my guess is that somehow it would.
Yeah, there was a James. There was some.
They're going to declare it illegal, right?
It's illegal in the United States. I'm pretty sure it is illegal in the United States. In that.
Actually, no. But
wait a minute. In that, it has to do with declaring. So if you declare everything, then obviously it's, that may be not illegal. But I'm referring to an old movie with James Stewart where he actually, there was a trial, it was a ridiculous movie in every sense on both sides. But the point is, I believe that just like you're supposed to declare all cash transactions, you're supposed to do this, you're supposed to do that, that in bartering, if you own a farm, for example, and you're selling people eggs and stuff via cash, you are supposed to be reporting every penny that comes in. Right. Do they? I don't know, and if somebody comes and pays for the chickens with a cow, it's the same. You are supposed to be accounting for that. So the legal part of when I say illegal, what I mean is that it would have to do with IRS. Remember that, Max, that the IRS is what got Capone in prison. So, I mean, it's not that it's illegal necessarily, but more that it's the reporting of it and the record keeping of it. So Bitcoin could fall into that too, by the way.
That's just like with cash. Your analogy works, and I agree, right? So, but I mean, given that the FinCEN, which is a Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, they actually came out with a statement. I can't remember what they call it. I mean, they didn't call it Bitcoin, but they abstracted it and called it, virtual money or something like that. And given that they're starting to recognize that it exists, and they didn't just outlaw ban it.
Mm-hmm.
I think I personally don't think they're gonna make it.
the people
is that,
don't want.
Is that international, Max? Is that organization international, or is that?
No, this is from the United States Department of Treasury.
Well, that's close enough.
The people that don't want this are the central bank.
No, that's what we're talking.
That's just like the IRS. Right?
I'm kidding. Well, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. So it's yeah. I mean, that's okay. Interesting.
It's almost international.
I was joking about that part, but yeah,
all
it's
I know
important.
is if they keep trying to pull.
I guess my point was it's if it's Swiss, that would be less. That would apply to a.
I actually had a conversation with the representative from the Swiss Bankers Union, or Swiss, I don't know what they call themselves, Swiss Bankers Association or something. I had a conversation with them about Bitcoin, and it was I was at an event where they were talking about the generic challenges of Swiss banks on the global marketplace, and unfortunately, so first of all, they had to admit that they didn't look at it in such detail yet. So they didn't know exactly how it works, and they didn't know anything about mining and all that stuff. However, they did know enough about it that they actually said, if governments keep on imposing more rules and regulations on financial transactions, such as financial transaction taxes, or the thing that happened in Cyprus, right, where they basically took away money from the people, right? They actually think that Bitcoin has a very big potential in playing a very disruptive role in the marketplace.
I don't doubt that.
How long are we staying on air then?
Well, I don't know. Should we kill it? We're down to 4 people. I think we can kill it, right? Say good night, Gracie.
Good night, Gracie.